What's the most fucked up thing you've overheard? A woman on the phone with her mother crying about how the man she was having an affair with was cheating on her. My ex-wife cheated on me and left me for the guy she cheated with. About a year later I am talking with one of my employees about a situation involving my ex and her boyfriend, and I said his first name and my employee says, "Wait. Do you mean first and last name?" I said yes, and she said that's the guy I've been ducking from Tinder for the last month, so that was extremely satisfying. Dollar store grandma, this family really went to shit while I was in prison. Overheard a guy I work with, he's in his 40s, on a call to a woman who he had on loudspeaker, tell her that he would lie to his mother about what hours he was working so they could meet in a hotel while his mother watched his two kids, who don't live with him. Then the woman tried asking him about his kids, to which he replied, "Don't talk to me about my kids. Talk to me about things I like pussy and damp money." My favorite, a cell phone conversation overheard years ago. I was on a park bench when a guy on his phone walked by. Yes, alright, I get it. I sheet on the floor, you happy? But if she just picked it up when I told her to, we wouldn't be fighting now, what? I overheard a guy in my school, whom I didn't know because he was 2 years younger than me, telling someone over the phone that he didn't want to live anymore. He was so tired of being lonely all the time and getting bullied day in, day out. His crying pierced my soul. I was really popular at that time, had a lot of friends, was always pulling pranks with them, knew the teachers pretty well. So one day, me and my best friend followed him to the bathroom. This sounds so weird, but we had been observing him and we knew he hid in the toilets during breaks, and we kind of started a conversation on how his shirt was really cool and that we were a fan of the same band as him. And then we invited him to sit with us, and we kept that up until we graduated, and to this day, we are still friends. I regularly checked up on him during the time I knew he was depressed, without ever telling him I had overheard him when he was on the phone. He's doing great now, he's in his second year of music academy. I don't know if we saved his life, but I sure bet we made it a little easier for him. And seriously, he's become one of my best friends. Such a sweet kid then, and still a great guy now. A dead man doesn't ducking narc. Swear to God. I was 12 years old with a couple of friends on our bikes eating gelato outside an Italian bakery that was kind of notorious. Two guys in suits were talking. One big guy was very animated and yelled that out at the other one. It's so crazy, I sometimes wonder if I imagined it, but both my friends confirmed they remembered it too 4 years afterwards. On the bus about 10 years ago. Two girls in their mid to late 20s. Girl 1, OMG you're pregnant. Who's the dad? Girl 2, it's Brad. Girl 1, your brother. Girl 2, he's only my half brother, so it's fine. I think about this conversation more than I should. My dad and I were talking about work and my sister overheard him saying he needed to send out a crew to shoot some witnesses. We are land surveyors. A witness is a marker in the ground that serves as a reference to another point. Shoot in this case means to take a measurement on the corner with a GPS unit. But my little sister didn't know that lingo, and thought there were some secrets about the family business that she hadn't been privy to. Used to go to the public library to write. Would put on headphones, but sometimes they were off so I could hear others at the study tables. One time some guy was arranging meetings on his phone and giving out his phone number. For giggles I typed it into Google and a whole bunch of escort services popped up. Another time it was an older gang member teaching two youngins to never give the cops their real name because they might have outstanding warrants somewhere. I didn't want the last two kids, my dad said. Me neither, you're the one that always wanted $EURX, my mom said. You dumb bee, said my dad. This was during their divorce. I was 5. Asked my much older brother what that was. Thanks for letting me know early. I processed that for years. Still rings some days. Whatever though. FKM. I've got my own kids that I wanted. They know what love is. Back when I used to live with my dad and his girlfriend, it was our house, she was the guest there. He used to travel for work a lot. I worked full time and had to co-live with the GF and her kid. Prepped all my meals and did all my chores. Once overheard her telling her kid, "I ducking hate that ducking sheethead. He was making noise last night when cooking. Ducking stupid kid," and that's when I got my own place. Not messed up in the way you're asking, but in college my roommate and I had a couple girls over and we all seemed to be hitting it off. We were hoping to retire to our separate rooms to make out. Girls go to the restroom together and I'm outside smoking a cig. Could hear them talking about getting with us. Girl I'm with, "Are you going to hook up with?" Roommate, "Girl he's with, oh yeah." "You girl I'm with, EWW no." That definitely messed me up bad. I hooked up with girls fairly often so it didn't ruin my life or anything, but that memory never left my head. I once overheard my manager and his subordinate in the break room saying that no one will find out about the off-the-book stuff they were doing. They were buying material using company money and doing their own work. They didn't know I was there because I was in the next room changing into my normal clothes. A few weeks later they were both caught and no longer work where I am. It was revealed they'd been doing it for 4 years and both made $600,000 each. Lol, we had a woman Katie caught for embezzling at the company I used to work at years back. She'd been an employee there for 17 years and had embezzled piecemeal enough that it didn't arouse any suspicions until a woman named Margie was hired. Katie and Margie got along like oil and water, but eventually they tolerated each other's presence. They both worked in accounts payable and not in particularly high paying positions. Margie ran payroll so she knew what each employee was earning. Margie overheard Katie talking about her vacations, her boat, house renovations, etc. That seemed quite out of line with her salary and this aroused Margie's suspicions. So, on the sly, Margie started doing some digging and found that Katie was keeping 2 sets of books, one that the company thought was true and one that reflected her embezzling. Quietly, Margie gathered information and, when she had enough, she went to the company controller who, in turn, went to the company CFO. The following Friday afternoon, Katie was arrested at work and laid out in handcuffs, guessed to teach a lesson to everyone else. The company was pretty litigation fearing, so they didn't pursue criminal charges against Katie, just civil ones. They only wanted restitution, with interest, of what she'd embezzled, plus she was required to forfeit her company profit sharing plan funds, which were pretty robust after 17 years, in exchange for no criminal charges being pursued. However, the arrest did make the papers even though she was never charged, so the chances of her getting a job in our area, Nick, were slim to none. She ended up relocating to Florida, and this was in the mid-90s, so not as easy to do internet searches pre-employment, and is still there from what I understand. I doubt she changed her ways, but she's someone else's problem now. Had to share an elevator with a guy that just came out of the federal public defender's office. He calls his GF on speakerphone and starts talking about how they want to give him 25 years. Apparently he and his GF both know who the girl is that's supposed to testify against him for the prosecution, and they decided that they should probably just kill her. He acted like I wasn't even there. Did you do anything with that knowledge? Yes, when we got to the lobby, I walked right back around the elevator bank, and went back up to the office and told them. The lady at the front desk called his public defender, told her what happened, then she thanked me and told me they'd take it from there. I was at work walking past some contractors sitting on a bench smoking. All I heard was one guy say to the other, "Well, she already took the best years of your life. Why shouldn't she take half of everything you own?" He then started laughing uncontrollably. The whole time the other guy was sitting with his head in his hands, obviously upset. Overheard a Belgian Christian girl on a train telling her friends about her romantic history. Basically she identified as hetero and dated men, then bi, then les and dated women. She was certain that she was a les and that she dated men uniquely because that's what society expected her to do. She then got deeper into religion, got more involved within her church, and now identifies as a les dating men. Because that's what the church considers proper. And she told her friends that she's not attracted at all to her boyfriend and would date women if she was not religious. She said all this very loudly and cheerfully while I was trying to sleep. I found it very sad. When I was little, my mom and I were at a library next to my dance studio waiting for my dance class. A guy on the phone, speaking quietly but not that quiet, was saying, "So many girls in this area, and they are all wearing little tutus. You really gotta come check them out. They are basically asking for it." My mom and another woman nearby went to the police station, also next door, to file a report. The police did nothing. A couple months later, we found out the police station was covering up crimes of a child predator. It made national news, I think, at least regional news. So I lost my trust in police when I was very young. But sadly, that wasn't the first time I got a bad feeling about a creepy man. This world sucks. I used to work with a maintenance tech who had formerly worked in corrections. One day he was outside having a smoke when I came up and lit my own, and he casually continued his conversation with our other tech. He was busy explaining that he worked overnights at the prison, and they were chronically understaffed. So when one night he did his rounds and came upon an inmate being gang raped in his cell, he wasn't allowed to physically intervene because it would be a 5-volt-1 situation. He had to wait for backup, which he knew wouldn't be available because they were understaffed. He told the guys to go easy on him. That still sticks with me. I overheard a conversation out in public between a couple, where the woman in a chilling, somber tone said, "I can't even look at you, knowing that your father was performing human experimentations." I went into full casual snoop mode to get the tea. The more I listened and watched, the clearer it was that this woman was going through some mental health crisis. Her pattern of speech was so bizarre, and her sentences slipped in and out of coherency. The poor man just looked so defeated. They were both dressed like they were in dire straits, and the man had this expression on his face like he was realizing the reality that his partner was losing it. Woman I worked with thought everyone had already left, and I got to listen to the conversation with her and her ex-husband. Man was pleading with her to let him see his teenage daughter more often, and she was insisting on more alimony child support. He told her he was already living in a trailer and going in debt to pay for the daughter's private school and couldn't afford more. The woman said he would come up with what she was asking for, or she would show the daughter the DNA test that showed she wasn't actually his daughter. I don't think I've ever felt as bad for a guy and as nauseated by a woman so instantly in my life. Not the most ducked up thing I ever heard, but one that frequently comes to memory. I used to bounce at a strip club, and one time, I had to go in the locker room to let one of the girls know someone was there to see her. When I walked in, there were 4 girls sitting in there, all talking about which antipsychotics worked best for them. I was young and didn't realize just how sad of a place that was until I walked in on that conversation. American tourists in Helsinki talking about mammoths being mythical creatures. They couldn't be convinced otherwise. In a cafe somewhere, a dad-granddad absolutely destroying a daughter-granddaughter with verbal abuse to the tune of worthless, useless, no value to anyone. Several of us on nearby tables intervened after several minutes. Absolutely disgusting behavior to the young and potentially mentally ill person. The staff eventually had to call the police, who escorted the douchebag away for his safety after crying about bullying when we confronted him. My first day of selling tickets at Disneyland solo. I take my first break and they're on a payphone. 1998 is a character performer with the Mickey head off, but they were wearing the rest of the standard Mickey costume. Listen, asshole. If you're home when I get home, this will escalate even more than it already has. They hung up very forcefully. They noticed me and left. I just remember thinking, I hope Minnie is okay. In Vegas on a very hungover Monday morning before my departing flight, I heard the person in the hotel room next door wailing, crying, sobbing and screaming something to the tune of "I've lost it all. I'm so ducked 4 hours straight." Overheard a conversation at the next table at a restaurant on a slow night. Guy was talking about his friend who was an executive at an outdoor gear company who texted him from a safari in Africa and how she was having a great time. And then he lowered his voice to tell his friends she sent him a picture of the elephant she had killed that day. I immediately got sick and I couldn't concentrate on my own conversation with friends. Gave me chills. I've never bought anything from that company ever. Not overheard but read. In a massive work meeting at my school. It's in an auditorium. I'm sitting next to this older teacher who has a significant other who is from the country we're working in. He's a bit older, so the text font on his phone was rather large. We were from different countries and neither country a Portuguese speaking one, but apparently we both speak read it. He was texting another woman, not his partner who I know, who only speaks English and Chinese. The stuff they were talking about over text was very explicit and I felt bad for his partner because he was obviously cheating on her. I didn't want to read his phone, but from my seat in the auditorium I had to look towards my left to see the stage. He was sat to my left and had his phone screen just beaming right at me. Overheard my last summer, outside on a call, say to person on phone, keep your cool. I'm almost done with this BS relationship. We have to stop communicating on each other's FB post. As soon as a tax refund is deposited, we'll, him and Amp, his children, be moving down there with you and Amp. Tell your BF he has to move out. This week, my mother tells someone I have no ambitions, no goals, and I have no desire to better myself. While having an eating disorder, anorexia and Amp, bulimia, my weight loss must be Drew Gus' ex-boyfriend telling his ex-girlfriend he wishes I would commit suicide and Amp end his misery. My sister said she wished my grandmother would hurry up and die. My grandmother always called her out on her shit and Amp being a deadbeat parent. I could go on and on. So one time I was at a really nice wedding. While I was waiting for it to start, I was pacing the pews in the church's corridor, because for some reason I was feeling really nervous about the whole ordeal. As I was pacing, I couldn't help but overhear a bridesmaid talking to a waiter about what or who or the bride was. Man, it really ducked me up hearing them say that. IDK. I just don't understand why people can't close the goddamn door. You know? In my teenage years, I had a girlfriend and she had a younger sister. Around that time her parents divorced, all the kids, 3 sisters and 1 brother in total. They took mom her side and didn't want any contact with their dad anymore because he cheated on mom. Except my girlfriend's younger sister, she was just 11. She loved her dad, something which is totally normal and understandable even though her dad really did a shitty thing. It was the birthday of my girlfriend and the whole family was there, aunts, uncles, grandparents. I never seen anything like it, but they took stabs towards the youngest sister whom still wanted to be in contact with her dad. Again and again, just foul remarks and making fun of her. The entire ducking family just relentless. And she sat there just taking it one after the other. I could see her breaking down slowly. It was so cruel, just viciously going after her 11-year-old girl. How the duck could they do something like that? Even her mom was in on it. Nobody protected her nor took her side. I was shocked. I never expected her entire family to turn on her like that. At first I didn't know what to do or say. I only know it made me very angry, upset and sickened by it. I exploded and I don't know what I exactly said in that moment, but it was enough for me to grab the hand of the younger sister who was clearly hair broken just as I was about this ordeal, and we left. Didn't know what to do. I was only a teenager myself, 16. So I called my parents. I told them everything, what happened, how the whole family turned on my girlfriend's younger sister. My father picked us up and she stayed with us that evening. Turns out my father went back there and set the whole family straight that this is something that is not done. Needless to say, I wasn't welcome anymore for a long time at my girlfriend's place. A year later she became my ex-girlfriend. The younger sister moved to live with her dad. Maybe not the best dad in the world, but at least someone whom treated her right. I'm 33 now. The youngest sister is 27 now. We are still very close. She knows I have her back even when the whole world is turned against her, and I know she'll have mine. I was sitting in a restaurant and overheard 2 cops talking about pulling over only the workers from a certain factory in town. One said they are easy to spot because they all have a parking lot sticker on their cars, so just look for it. Dad was stationed in Germany for 3 years in the 70s. Took us, I was about 8, to a number of places including Dachau. Tour guide talked about the horrors that happened there and detailed the number held. An old German couple was there as well. When the guide hit that number, my dad says he heard the husband in the couple mutter, "Gut. Frickin' Jude."